Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm a walker. Just so you know, I'm a walker. So I asked Renee how far could I go, and he said I could go anywhere out here as long as I didn't stand in front of the speaker. So I may be coming your way, okay? So this morning I stopped by Canada by way of Washington, D.C. and Boca Raton, Florida. So I live in both places right now to share a story with you. A story about a woman that I helped some time ago who found herself in a box, who found herself in a situation. This young lady used to come in the office and she was very effervescent, bubbly, had a great personality. Good morning to everybody. Hi, how are you? Everyone knew when she was in the building. They knew when she was in the office. They knew when she was in the room. She just had that effervescence with her. Also, she was so ambitious. She had goals and objectives of where she wanted to see herself 10 years, 5 years, 15 years down the road. I mean, she was a girl with a plan. Do you hear me? She was on course, ready to make impact. She had a fire in her eyes that just lit up a room, and even if you were down, it lit you up as well. Until one day she didn't have that fire. Until one day that flame dimmed into a flicker. Until one day she started coming in the office and she wasn't as effervescent and she didn't speak to everyone and she just went to her desk and she did her job. She did a good job. She was an ethical person, an honest person. She had a strong work ethic, so she still did well at what she did, but that fire was gone. That effervescence was gone. I wanted to talk to her and ask her what was going on, but I didn't want to be nosy. You know how that is when you don't want to be nosy, but you want to know what went on, what's going on. And so I wanted to know what was happening, so I said I'll give her a little bit of time. And that time, days turned into weeks. And weeks turned into months. And months turned into almost a year. Without that fire, without that flame, without that spark. Then I decided to get nosy. Enough time had passed, and I was curious what was going on with her. So I had a conversation. And I said, hey, what's going on with you? You used to come in the office and speak to everybody. Everybody was always happy to see you. You brought such energy with you and effervescence, and there was a flame in your eyes that is now just a flicker. What happened? And she shared with me that she had her performance review on her job. And her manager, a supervisor, another woman, said to her that she was over ambitious. Over ambitious. That she appreciated the value that she brought to the office. And she liked that she had such a high spirit. But you know, I know you want to go far in your career. But when I was your age, this is how the conversation went, just watch. And when I was your age, I was just a secretary. So I think you're being a little bit over ambitious. She was deflected. She was defeated. That's the day that the fire in her eyes lost that flame, that effervescence left the room. But I had a conversation with her and I said, you know what? That was her story when she was your age, that she was a secretary. That doesn't have to be your story. Who are you? What are your values, as Crystal mentioned? What is it that you bring to the table? What gifts and skills do you have? Who are you at the core of your being that makes you who you are? Once she thought about it and she wrote down a list of pros and cons and thought about all the things that she brought to the table and she shared those things with me, I said, are those qualities, skills, values, strengths still there? Yeah, they're still there. All right, so now let's go to your story. So you adopted your supervisor's story as your own, that you were over ambitious. Sit with that for a minute. You told yourself that over and over and over again to the degree that you stopped moving forward, till you stopped putting in applications for promotions and increase, till you just sat still. You have to revise that story. Start telling yourself again what it is that you'd like to accomplish, what it is that you'd like to do with your life, and where you want to go. And then, honey, you know what you need to do? What do I need to do? You need to shine. Shine? What does that mean? You need to show up honestly with all that you bring to the table, intentionally, laser focused, so that when other people come along and tell you you're overambitious, you're overweight, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too curvy, you can't do this, your hair's too long, you need to buy some more, whatever the case may be. You need to color it, whatever the situation may be. Show up intentionally, no excuses. You need to shine, honey. That young lady went home that day after we had that conversation, and I was nosy and got in her business, and she showed up the next day. Good morning. Hi, how are you? How are you doing? And everybody was like, oh, she's back. She had gone missing for a little while. That young lady that I mentored and coached back then was myself. That was me. My supervisor told me I was over-ambitious. Told me that when she was my age at that particular time, which is about 20, almost 30 years ago, that she was just a secretary, and who was I? So I had to look inside myself, look at what it is that I brought to the table. I had to revise that story, and I had to shine. Living outside the box of fear is living outside the box of being concerned about what other people think about you, what other people's opinions are. Being concerned about whether or not you have a cheerleading squad or you don't. Being your own cheerleader. I shared with Charlotte this morning that today, this morning, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Everything. Everything. Down to I couldn't even find my lip gloss. So my husband, who normally travels with me, he was in Toronto yesterday, and Toronto had a windstorm that took out all the power. And I asked Charlotte, is it normal for Toronto to have windstorms? No, can't say that it is. So my husband calls me and he says, because he normally does the table for me, he does all that stuff for me, and he says, I don't know how to tell you this. But my plane was canceled. Yeah, right. And they canceled all the flights, and I'm not gonna make it. And I'm talking about living outside the box of fear. What am I gonna do? I don't wanna go. You were my support team. And then this morning, he says, well, I got a flight, yay, back to Florida. No, I'm not gonna make it, but I give you my best. So I'm using my life experience of what happened today, and then waking up when I leave here, I have to go to Nebraska. And the flight from Nebraska got canceled for some crazy reason. And things, credit cards didn't go through, and this and that and the other. And I said, these women will not believe the kind of morning that I've had. But when you are committed to living your life outside the box of fear. That doesn't mean that situations won't arise, discouragement won't happen, and you won't want to feel like, can I crawl under this table? And would somebody just check on me every now and then? To be sure that I'm still in the land of the living. But we have to know what it is that you bring to the table. What are your strengths? What are your values? Who are you? Only you know. Don't allow anyone else to tell you who you are. What is your story? How does it need to be revised? What cast of characters do you need to throw out? And what new characters do you need to bring in? And then there is the ultimate, shine. How are you showing up? Now that you know who you are, you've revised your story. How are you showing up? What job do you really want to apply for? Business that you want to start? Person you want to marry? Sometimes people get on us about who we choose to love. Places you want to go. I met Vicki, who is an outstanding young woman who goes all over the country, all over the world, running marathons. Imagine that. I wish I could run down the hall. Much less get to the place of running a marathon. But showing up honestly, intentionally. No, and I love the word no. Crystal, I don't know, it took everything I had, I was holding on to the table. I love no. My favorite quote is, no is a complete sentence. No. If it doesn't serve your shine, if it doesn't serve yourself, if it doesn't serve your story, no. Period. No, not because I have to take the kids to this, and no, not because this, and oh, no, because this. No. Thank you. No. And keep it moving. And the E is for excuses. We all have excuses not to do something, but we come up with reasons to do us, do the self, revising the story, and manifesting our shine. So, if you want to join me in living outside the box of fear, examine yourself, revise your story, and manifest your shine.
Lisa, Ellis, Lewis. I know I just screwed that up. I was so inspired. I'm trying to get all those shine things in my head. I need to start writing things down.